Disclaimer. This content is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised. My name is Lila. I'm 27 years old, and I'm not the kind of person who does things like this. That's the first thing I need you to understand before I tell you everything. Because even now, even as I sit in this quiet hotel room waiting for her, waiting for my stepmother, I feel like I'm standing on the edge of myself. Like I'm about to do something that's going to change me in ways I'll never fully come back from. But the truth? I already have changed. This started long before the hotel, long before the wine, long before she ever even looked at me in that way. It started the day I stopped recognizing the girl I saw in the mirror. I've been with Noah for 6 years. You know that kind of love where, in the beginning, you're so tangled up in each other that it almost hurts? We had that. Mornings where his hand would trace lazy circles across my hip while I made coffee. Nights where he'd pull me into his lap without a word, just wanting to feel skin against skin. It was messy and hot and a little too much, but it was ours. Then somewhere between buying the condo and arguing about which blender to buy, it shifted. I don't even know when I first noticed it. Maybe it was the way he started pulling away during hugs. Or how sex turned into something we scheduled instead of something that just happened. Like last month, I kissed him at the sink while doing dishes, and he smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. It felt like kissing a memory. It's not like we stopped loving each other. It's just, he stopped seeing me. He'd ask if I was okay when I got quiet, but he wouldn't really listen to the answer. He'd touch my lower back when we walked into a room, but it started to feel more like a reflex than a desire. His touch used to send chills down my spine. Now, it barely anchors me. I started pulling back too. Quietly, at first. Smiling less. Laughing softer. Saying, I love you, with a kind of fragile hope that maybe saying it would bring something back. But the more I said it, the more I felt like I was lying. Then came my dad's birthday. We hadn't seen each other in months, and honestly, I wasn't thrilled about going. Things with him have always been formal: birthday cards, text messages, the occasional brunch. He married Claire when I was 19. She was young, stunning in that effortless way that makes people stare when she walks into a room. Only 12 years older than me, and yet somehow, she always carried herself like she had all the answers. I used to envy her. Then I started resenting her. Now, I'm not sure what I feel. That night, I walked into the party and saw her across the room, red dress, whiskey in hand, her hair swept up like a woman who knows exactly what she's doing. She smiled at me. Not like a stepmother. Not like a friend. Like someone who noticed me. It wasn't until hours later, after everyone had left, after I'd had just enough wine to let my guard slip, that she touched my wrist while handing me a glass of water. Her fingers lingered. She leaned in and whispered something about how I'd grown into my body in a way that most women don't even recognize. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it made me uncomfortable. And yet, it stayed with me. The exact moment I realized something had changed wasn't with her. It was a week later, back at home. Noah came up behind me while I was brushing my hair. He kissed my shoulder the way he used to. But this time, I felt nothing. Not warmth. Not electricity. Not even tension. Just absence. Like I was already gone. And that's when I knew, whatever this thing is between me and Claire, it didn't come out of nowhere. It came from a space I didn't even know was hollow until someone else filled it with attention. And tonight, I'm meeting her at the hotel. I don't know what I'm doing. But I know exactly why I'm doing it. Noah is a pediatrician, the kind that kids adore. The kind that makes balloon animals in the waiting room even when he's on his lunch break. He's calm, patient, kind. He saves lives and still remembers to buy oat milk because I mentioned once that regular milk makes my stomach weird. So it feels cruel, so damn cruel, that I don't feel close to him anymore. But love isn't kindness. Not alone. Not when you're starving for something else. Last Tuesday night, he came home late again, another emergency case. I was already in bed, pretending to scroll on my phone but really just listening to the silence between us. He stripped off his scrubs, let them fall to the floor, and slid in behind me. His hand grazed my hip, his breath warm against my neck. "You awake?" he whispered. I nodded. Didn't speak. Then his hand slipped under my shirt. Not rough, not pushy, just familiar. But that was the problem. It was too familiar. It felt like we were just going through motions again. I shifted away, subtly, I thought. But he noticed. He always notices. "You okay?" he asked. His voice wasn't accusing. Just, tired. "I'm fine." "Lila," he sighed, sitting up behind me. "Talk to me. Please." I finally rolled over. Sat up. Stared at his face in the soft lamplight, that same face I used to love waking up to, that now looked like a stranger I felt guilty for avoiding. "I don't want to just be touched," I said, my voice quieter than I meant it to be. "I want to be seen, Noah. I want to be understood." "I do see you," he said too quickly, too defensively. "I show you every day." "Physically," I murmured. "Always physically. And that used to be enough. But now I feel like we don't even talk unless we're half naked." He flinched a little. And then that thing he always does, that damn noble instinct to fix what's broken, kicked in. So he reached out again. His palm brushed my cheek. "Then let's talk after. Let me love you first." That's when I pulled away completely. Climbed out of bed and wrapped myself in the old college hoodie that still smelled like laundry pods. "Noah," I whispered, standing there like I was already out the door. "When you say, 'let me love you,' what you really mean is, 'let me touch you.' Those aren't the same things." He didn't speak. Just watched me. I think it broke him a little, the way I said it. But it broke me, too, because I knew I'd been unfair. He was trying. In the only way he knew how. But try all you want, if you're speaking the wrong language, love can still feel like silence. I went to visit Claire the next day. I told myself it was just a quick coffee. Just to get out of the house. Just to breathe in someone else's air. But when she opened the door, she didn't hug me like Noah does, like a checkbox. She held me. Arms tight around my waist, chin on my shoulder. Like she missed me. Like I was wanted, not just welcomed. She made tea. Sat across from me with those piercing gray eyes that always seemed to read a page I hadn't written yet. "You look tired," she said gently. And for some reason, those 3 words felt more intimate than anything Noah had said in weeks. "I am," I admitted. "I feel like I'm vanishing." She didn't say anything. Just reached across the table and squeezed my hand. It was the kind of gesture that should have meant nothing. But it felt like everything. That night, back home, Noah was already asleep on the couch. TV on, half-empty bowl of popcorn on the floor. He looked peaceful in a way I hadn't seen in months. I stood there watching him, heart aching. Because I knew he still loved me. But love wasn't what I was missing. I needed to be chosen. And lately, I felt like a habit he couldn't shake. Not a woman he couldn't stop thinking about. And I hated myself for how badly I wanted to go back to Claire's. For how easy it was to imagine her choosing me without hesitation. Last night, Noah made dinner. It wasn't a special occasion. Just Wednesday. He came home early for once, picked up fresh ravioli from that overpriced Italian place I like, and even lit a candle. The gesture was sweet. Thoughtful, in the way he used to be. I wanted to feel grateful. I wanted it to mean something. Instead, I felt wary. We ate in silence mostly, except for the occasional, "This is good," or "Want more wine," kind of talk. His knee brushed mine under the table. Once, that would have sent butterflies tumbling through my ribs. Now, I shifted my leg away without thinking. I saw his eyes flick up. He noticed. Of course he did. After dinner, he stood behind me while I rinsed dishes and wrapped his arms around my waist. Pressed a kiss to my shoulder, slow and warm. "Missed you today," he murmured. I nodded. Didn't say it back. He ran his hands up under my hoodie. They were warm, steady, like they used to be when we were new. I used to lean into that touch without hesitation, but now, my shoulders tensed before I could stop them. He felt it. "Lila," he whispered against my neck. "You're pulling away again." I closed my eyes. Tried to breathe through it. "I'm just tired, Noah. That's all." But it was a lie, and we both knew it. He turned me around gently. His hands cradled my face like I was something fragile, something worth saving. I saw the hurt in his eyes, buried just beneath the hope. "I'm trying," he said. "Can't you see I'm trying?" "I know," I whispered. "I know you are." Then he kissed me. It wasn't forceful. It wasn't rough. It was the kind of kiss someone gives when they're scared of losing you. Slow, reverent, careful. And I hated myself for how numb I felt. I kissed him back, but it was robotic, lips moving on muscle memory, heart locked behind glass. He pulled away slightly, forehead resting against mine. "Tell me what to do. Please. I'll do anything." And I believed him. That was the worst part. He would do anything. He just didn't know what I needed anymore. "I don't want to hurt you," I said softly. Then stopped disappearing. I stepped back. "I'm not trying to. I feel like we're not speaking the same language anymore." He looked down, jaw tight. "So what, now you need subtitles just to love me?" I didn't answer. Couldn't. Because every word that came to mind sounded cruel. And he didn't deserve cruel, he deserved clarity, something I couldn't give while I was still tangled up in the why of it all. He tried again later, in bed. Came up behind me, hand on my thigh. Whispered my name like a question. Like he was asking permission to be close. And I wanted to say yes. God, I wanted to want it. But I froze. My breath caught. I shifted just slightly, enough for him to notice. "Still tired?" he asked, already withdrawing. I nodded without turning around. He sighed, rolled over, and said nothing more. And I stared at the ceiling, blinking back tears that made no sense, my heart pounding from the nothingness I felt. Not pain. Not anger. Just absence. My body was there, but I wasn't. Not with him. Not really. And I knew it was only a matter of time before he stopped trying altogether. Because how long can you reach for someone who keeps slipping through your hands? We were at a small seafood place downtown. The kind of place with flickering candles in mason jars and old jazz humming from a speaker in the corner. Noah had made the reservation as a surprise. Just us, he'd said that morning, brushing his lips against my forehead before heading to the hospital. No work. No phones. Just us. It should have meant something. Maybe it did, to him. But for me? The thought of spending 2 hours sitting across from him, pretending I still fit inside the version of us he wanted to keep alive, it made my chest tighten. Still, I went. I curled my hair, put on the red dress he always said made my eyes look darker, and smiled when I walked through the door. He lit up like I'd done something extraordinary just by showing up. That smile. That damn hopeful smile. It felt like a hook in my ribs. We ordered wine. Appetizers. Chatted about a patient of his who swallowed a Lego. It was almost easy, almost. Then, during the main course, he reached across the table and rested his hand on mine. I know things have been weird lately, he said gently. But I want to fix this. I love you, Lila. I still look at you and feel lucky. I stared at him. And something inside me cracked, not a big explosion, just a quiet, slow leak of everything I'd been holding in. Lucky, I repeated, barely above a whisper. That's what you feel? He nodded, squeezing my fingers. Of course I do. I pulled my hand away. Slowly. Deliberately. Do you even know me anymore, Noah? Like really know me? His brow furrowed. What do you mean? Of course I do. You're no, I cut in, sharper than I meant. You know who I was. The girl who clung to you after her mom died. The one who wanted to build a perfect life, with the perfect condo and a blender we fought about for 2 hours. But I'm not her anymore. He blinked. Sat back. Okay, then help me know who you are now. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But instead, I felt my eyes sting. My throat tightened like I was being strangled from the inside. I feel like I'm screaming underwater, I said. Like you touch me and kiss me and want me, and I'm just nodding along while my brain is somewhere else. You don't see it because you don't want to see it. You just keep reaching for sex like it's the answer, but I need something deeper and it's not there anymore. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. He just stared. And do you want to know the worst part? I whispered. Someone else sees me. Someone who shouldn't. He blinked. What does that mean? I looked away. My hands were shaking. My fork clinked too loudly against the plate. I wanted to disappear. Forget it, I muttered. Just forget I said anything. No, Lila, he said, voice rising now. You can't drop something like that and expect me to ignore it. Who are you talking about? I didn't answer. Couldn't. Because how do you say my stepmother out loud without shattering everything? His jaw clenched. The silence between us was louder than the jazz. You're not the only one who's been hurting, he said finally. But I keep showing up. I keep trying. I met his eyes. I know. And I hate myself for not feeling it. I cried in the car on the way home. Not the graceful, cinematic kind, the ugly, shoulders shaking, gasping for air kind. Noah sat beside me, silent. Hands gripping the wheel like they were the only things keeping him steady. I felt guilt crawling up my spine like vines. Twisting around my chest, pressing until I couldn't breathe. I hated how I'd spoken to him. I hated how I couldn't stop thinking about Claire's fingers brushing mine across a teacup, how it made me feel alive in a way that terrified me. And I hated that a part of me was counting down the days to that hotel room. I curled up on the couch that night, facing the window, my body aching from the inside out. Why did I say that? Why now? But somewhere beneath the shame, something else whispered, because it was already breaking. You just finally stopped pretending. It's been 12 days since that dinner. 12 days since I told Noah something that cracked the floor between us wide open. He hasn't asked me to explain what I meant. Not once. That almost hurts more than if he'd yelled, demanded, broken something. Instead, he's gone quiet, not cruel, not passive-aggressive. Just hollow. He still comes home. Still loads the dishwasher. Still asks if I want coffee in the morning. But now, the way he looks at me, it's like someone trying to remember a face they used to draw by heart. He sleeps on the edge of the bed. We used to tangle in our sleep, legs knotted like ivy, limbs careless and unconscious. Now, there's a canyon between us. I swear I can feel the drop every time I reach out and stop myself. I miss him. Not just the sex, not just the comfort, him. The way he used to hum under his breath while folding laundry. The way he'd kiss my temple absent-mindedly while reading the news. The way he'd text me just a croissant emoji when he passed the bakery, knowing it meant, "Want me to bring you one?" I miss all the things that don't show up in couples therapy. But I don't know how to reach him anymore. I said too much. Or not enough. I let something rise to the surface, that deep, raw ache I'd buried for so long, and now it's like neither of us can unsee it. Last night, I found him sitting alone in the dark on the balcony, wrapped in his old hoodie and sipping a glass of red wine. I watched him from the kitchen for a long time before joining him. When I finally sat down beside him, he didn't look at me. Just stared out at the city like it was more real than I was. "I had a patient today," he said. Voice quiet, steady. 7 years old. Cancer came back. I had to explain to his parents that we were out of options. I didn't speak. Just waited. He took another sip. Afterwards, I came home, stood outside our door, and felt more nervous walking in here than I did telling them their kid was dying. His voice broke a little on the word dying. He cleared his throat. "I used to come home and feel safe. You were the only place I didn't have to be anything but me." I swallowed hard. "I know." "No," he said. "I don't think you do. Because whatever's happening with you, I'm not part of it anymore. You're somewhere else, Lila. And I can't follow you there." I turned to him. The streetlight caught the side of his face, soft and tired and heartbreakingly beautiful. "I miss you," I whispered. He finally looked at me. And the pain in his eyes made me want to fall to my knees. "Then come back," he said. "Not halfway. Not for show. All the way. Or don't." I couldn't sleep that night. I laid there staring at the ceiling, listening to his breath on the other side of the bed, steady and far away. And I thought about Claire. Not just her touch, her attention, but the ease of her. The way I didn't have to explain myself. The way I felt mirrored, not managed. But I also thought about Noah, sitting on that balcony, aching quietly, giving me space even as it ripped him apart. He wasn't perfect. But he never stopped showing up. Now I'm standing in front of the bathroom mirror. My eyes are puffy. My lips are chapped from biting them too hard in my sleep. There's a hotel reservation sitting in my email inbox. Claire made it. She said, "You don't have to decide now. But if you come, I'll be there." And Noah? He's still here. Still waiting. But he won't wait forever. So I have to choose. Not between two people. Between the version of myself I've become, and the one I want to be. And God, I wish I knew which one was real. I didn't go to the hotel. I drafted the message to Claire a dozen times. Deleted it. Typed again. Sat with my phone in my lap, staring at the blinking cursor like it might decide for me. In the end, all I wrote was, "I can't." No explanation. No goodbye. Just 3 words. Enough. I didn't choose Noah, not really. I chose not to run. Not yet. That same night, I found him asleep on the couch, still in his scrubs. His arm was draped over his eyes like he couldn't bear to see the ceiling above him. Like even the quiet of the house was too loud. I stood there for a while, just watching him breathe. So much of love, I think, is in the watching. The silent noticing. The way you stay in the doorway, just to make sure they're still there. I walked over and pulled the throw blanket up around his chest, tucked it beneath his arms like I used to when he fell asleep reading. Then, without thinking, I leaned down and kissed his forehead. He stirred slightly, but didn't open his eyes. "Lila," he murmured, barely awake. "You okay?" I swallowed. "Not yet. But I want to be." That was all I could give him. And for now, he didn't ask for more. The next morning, I brewed 2 mugs of coffee. Set them on the table. Waited. When he came in, his eyes looked tired, but open. Present. I gestured to the chair across from me. "Noah. I don't have all the answers. I don't even know what questions I should be asking myself yet," I said, fingers tracing the rim of my cup. "But I want to stop pretending we're fine just because we're afraid to be broken." He sat down slowly. Gnawed barely there. "Okay. I don't want to lie anymore," I added. "To you. Or myself. Did you sleep with her?" I looked up. His voice was steady. Neutral. I shook my head. "No. But I wanted to." He winced, just slightly. But he didn't flinch away. "That hurts," he admitted. "I know." Silence stretched between us. Not hostile, just heavy. Then, he reached across the table and placed his hand over mine. Warm. Familiar. "I'm not asking you to fix everything," he said. "But if we try again, it has to be different. Honest. Even when it's ugly." I nodded, eyes stinging. "I can do honest," I whispered. "If you can do patient." He exhaled, long and slow. "We'll start there." We didn't hug. We didn't cry. We just sat there holding hands, palms pressed tight, 2 people quietly agreeing to stop drifting, even if they didn't know the way back yet. And somehow, that felt like enough for today. You think you'll know the moment it all starts to fall apart. Like it'll be this loud, obvious collapse, screaming matches, slammed doors, someone packing a suitcase while mascara runs down someone else's face. But it's not like that. It's quieter. It's brushing your teeth beside someone and realizing neither of you speaks anymore. It's climbing into bed and rolling to separate sides like a reflex. It's being touched and feeling nothing. For me, the unraveling didn't come with betrayal. It came with numbness. And then confusion when someone else, someone I should never have been drawn to, looked at me like I was still awake inside. Yes, it was Claire. My stepmother. I'm not proud of it. But I won't pretend it didn't happen. She saw me. Not as a daughter, not as a rival, not even as a woman to conquer. Just as someone who was slipping. And maybe because she'd slipped once too, she recognized the signs. I think part of me loved her for that. Not romantically. Not sexually, not really. But deeply. She was a mirror, one I'd been avoiding for years. With Noah, the love had history, security, shared toothpaste and holiday routines. But that love got lazy. Or maybe I did. You see, nobody tells you what happens after the first 5 years. After the proposal, the housewarming, the "look how happy they are" Instagram posts. Nobody tells you how much desire depends on being seen. Not just touched, seen. I spent months letting Noah touch me and convincing myself that meant he loved me. But I needed someone to ask me how I was and really wait for the answer. And he didn't. But to be fair, I didn't ask him either. I thought I was the one drowning, but he was gasping just as hard. Working 12-hour shifts. Carrying other people's grief in his hands every day. And still coming home to me, this stranger he didn't recognize anymore, and didn't know how to reach. He tried. He really did. And when I told him I'd almost gone through with it, the hotel, the night, the lie, he didn't explode. He didn't leave. He just looked at me like something sacred had broken. But he stayed. And that was the moment I realized what love looks like when it stops performing. It's not big gestures or cinematic forgiveness. It's a man sitting across from you, with pain in his eyes, saying, "Okay, let's start from where we are." That was 2 months ago. We go on walks now. Small ones. Quiet ones. We sit on the balcony again, not talking much, but being near. We don't kiss every day. Sometimes, we just sit shoulder to shoulder, like old friends at the edge of something new. We're not perfect. We're not even whole. But we're present. And sometimes, that's enough. If you're listening to this and waiting for the clean ending, the "we lived happily ever after," or the "I left and found myself," I don't have that for you. What I do have is this: desire will come and go. So will certainty. You will look at someone one day and feel nothing, and that doesn't mean you're broken. It just means there's something you need that hasn't been spoken aloud yet. Ask for it. Even if your voice shakes. Even if it makes them uncomfortable. Even if it scares you. Because losing yourself quietly is still losing yourself. And staying in something only because you don't want to start over, that's not love. That's fear in disguise. I didn't stay because it was easy. I stayed because I wanted to do the hard thing. Because I wanted to see if we could become new people inside the same love. We're still figuring that out. But I like who I'm becoming in the process. And that, to me, is the real love story.